Hello, friends. Welcome to my spirit world. We all live on the web of life. We all are connected by the web of life. Here in Tucson, Arizona, on land taken from the Tohono O'odham people, we remember and honor their ancient connection with this place that so many now call home. Today I will explore fire, the balance of the healing flame compared to the destruction of the blazing inferno. Across the western United States are numerous examples each year of fires started by lightning, or humans, that quickly grow from a few acres to many miles of scorched earth, with very few plants left alive. The vulnerable soil, unanchored by roots, is insusceptible to the next series of rainstorms. The rain, instead of entering the soil, carries it away in muddy torrents that choke the creeks and rivers of the affected watersheds. The raging surface flow of water gouges new paths, deep fissures across the land, which become the future infrastructure of drought and more fire. The most valuable topsoil is destroyed, leaving behind rocky, barren mountainsides. The plants that return are by nature short-lived, mature quickly, and become fuel for the next megafire. In the mind of many humans, fire has become an enemy, on which it is manifest destiny to declare the moral equivalent of war. The goal is the suppression and eradication of the destroyer of economic righteousness of a way of life. This will to power over nature is a rationalization of a lifestyle, the lifestyle of the conqueror. The empire of the western United States is falling. The mindset of domination is falling. It is being overrun with reality. The tribute of exploitation from abused land is no longer sufficient to pay for the armies of firefighters necessary to maintain the image of control. This is how empires disappear. This is how manifest destiny surrenders to the fate of grandchildren paying the debts incurred by their ancestors. Ancestral debts become loathsome, crippling obligations that focus the necessary new strategies. How did the Western U.S. arrive in such dire circumstance? How did one of Earth's greatest concentrations of timber-rich forests and productive soils become a scorched earth of rocky barrens? Tree-ring science has provided a record of the last 1,500 years that demonstrates the role of rainfall and fire in the shaping of the western forest. This relationship between rainfall and fire could be seen in many ancient trees that contained fire scars that did not kill them. There would be wet years of abundant growth with wide tree rings. There would then come dry years when fire scars would appear. The ancient trees, the old growth, developed thick fire-resistant bark that prevented the fire on the ground from climbing into the crown and killing the tree. The soil beneath the forest was full of rootlets and fungal mycelium that quickly sprang back to life after a fire had burned out and the next rain arrived. This relationship, balance, is what created the substance that became the abstraction board feet equals dollars. The indigenous people of the western United States understood the necessary sustaining balance of fire. When the lightning-caused fires were not sufficient, they ignited areas with sacred flames. The sacred flame was a life-giver and provider. The slow-moving ground fires removed brush, prevented the accumulation of incendiary thickets, and allowed an open passage through the forest. The result of these gentle burnings was a rebound of rich, succulent forage and browse for all of the animals. This knowledge of fire, when to burn and where to burn, was elegant in its simplicity and profound in its effect. The old-growth forest and vast herds of grazers and browsers was a result of small appropriate actions occurring year after year. The native peoples were not at war with fire, but in a relationship. This association was one of respect and appreciation for the balance that would yield prosperity and freedom for one. This balance was celebrated in song, in dance, and in symbol. To use California as an example of what the first Europeans encountered, we can read their writings. The summer months were often hazy because of the many small fires burning. Not the dangerously thick smoke of today's infernos, but the grayish hints that traveled on the wind. The open forest of large trees had ground beneath them, blackened by swift-moving, non-threatening flames. It is estimated that between 5 to 10 million acres per year had fires which removed undergrowth. This undergrowth never accumulated into tree-killing amounts. The fires quickly swept through an area and were gone. After the colonization began and the native peoples were exterminated and prevented from caring for the land, the forest quickly changed. The old-growth trees, those with thick, fire-resistant bark, were cut down. Cattle and sheep were brought in to graze on the plants, attempting to heal the wounds of the plundering conquerors. The unraveling accelerated. Under the mistaken impression that more is better, trees were allowed to grow in higher amounts than was sustainable. The concept of board feet equals dollars became the only measure for land use. In the cycles of abundant rain, the thick growth provided the smaller sized logs of commerce. In the dry cycles, there were vast expanses of sticks, kindling, waiting for ignition. Rather than recognizing the ebb and flow of wet and dry, bankers were put in charge of extraction. Board feet equals dollars. Trees were not allowed to reach the age of fire-resistant thick bark. Today, the wet cycles have disappeared. Drought is now the new normal. The stick forest will never mature into lucrative board feet. The weakened stick forest has become food for the bark beetles. Miles of dead kindling await the lightning strike or careless human campfire. There is a massive amount of burning that will occur as a new balance is established. There is a vast area of land that will be impossible to defend. Thousands of homes will be destroyed, and the water supplies of many communities will be greatly diminished. The debts of the colonizers will be paid by their descendants. Some places are not meant to be inhabited by people. Some fires are not meant to be extinguished by humans. Fighting fire is not the moral equivalent of war. Balance will be achieved. The new conditions of a changing climate are beyond opinion. As animists, we respect and honor the life force of the flame. We ask for guidance and forgiveness for the disrespect shown to the flame. The warmth of our body is due to the inner flame. Teach us, fire, to be worthy of your presence, to honor your life-giving nature. Sacred fire, teach us to not give in to the fever of greed. Teach us to not be inflamed with the desire to possess those things which should not be hoarded. Sacred fire, teach us to respect the balance between creation and destruction. May the inevitable balance of the web of life touch us with compassion as we are consumed by the fires of truth.